Hi guys, I'm ArchieLuxury, the YouTube entertainer and celebrity. Today guys, I want to talk to you about a serious topic, and that's buying a unit, an inner city unit. And I gotta tell you, there's been a lot of publicity recently about these new unit blocks which have been built in the major capital cities. We've got problems with Mascot Towers and Opal Towers, where they seem to have substandard building quality, and they're in for some very, very expensive, costly repairs. However, the point of this video is to show you some very good investments you can make in apartments, townhouses, units, if you buy the right thing. And I'm going to show you the real bargains that are out there. So let's take a look and let's see what you guys think.
Apartment owners at Sydney's Opal Tower have launched legal action against the state government over the defective skyscraper. Hundreds of residents were forced to abandon the $165 million building last Christmas after cracks started to appear. The owners claim the block was not designed and constructed with due care or skill, nor was it fit for occupation. Unit values have plummeted and insurance has skyrocketed as many residents remain in temporary accommodation.
Mascot Towers residents in Sydney have agreed to pay a $7 million levy to fix the cracked apartment complex. Stella Todorovic is live from Mascot Towers, and Stella, this decision was not unanimous.
No, Pete, it wasn't. Nevertheless, the money will be spread across the 132 units in the complex. Behind me, over 4 stages of remedial works in the building, which would see each apartment paying approximately $53,000. There are fears that this figure could more than double. Residents, Pete, still have no clue as to when they'll be allowed back into their homes, but they're hopeful that the appointment of a building commissioner will help ease that pain and potentially speed up the process.
The fact that Commissioner Chandler was very quick to come and visit this site, was very quick in what we regarded as his very accurate assessments as to the engineering and building construction standards on this site.
Pete, Mascot Towers was evacuated in June when cracks appeared in the basement. Just yesterday, the state government offered to extend that emergency fund that it's been providing for residents to help with accommodation costs. It was initially a 3-month emergency fund, and now they're offering a further 3 months of emergency assistance for these residents. I spoke to Yasmin Catley, who is the New South Wales Deputy Labor Leader, a little bit earlier today, and she told me that it's really important to keep in mind how shocking and distressing this situation would be for residents. In a statement to Sky News, she says it was in the building inquiry that the building commissioner was asked if he felt the current assistance was adequate. That inquiry certainly provided a lot of pressure on the government. Pete, this ordeal is taking its toll on families. In that same inquiry just last week, we heard from one resident who broke down in tears describing the emotional and financial turmoil that this has put his family in. This inquiry will continue next week on Tuesday, when it will conclude, hopefully, with a resolution for the residents of not only the Mascot Towers but also the Opal Tower who have been displaced given these defects in apartment buildings across Sydney.
Okay guys, let's take a look at a perfect example of a diamond in the rough. This here is an apartment block in Taringa. Taringa is the upmarket Brisbane suburb, right next to St Lucia, Auchenflower, Toowong, Indooroopilly. It's in the upmarket western suburbs. And what I wanted to show you here is a classic example of good buying. Now, this development here in Taringa was originally a luxury development released in the early 80s. Now this building here, this has been standing here for nearly 40 years, and the good thing about a building that's been in place for so long, guess what? Structural cracks, structural problems would have reared and shown their ugly head. So let's have a look here. Look at this. This is a 3-story building, and the brickwork looks pretty damn good. It looks pretty damn good. You notice here you have a really big block, and we'll actually compare that to a new apartment block right next door. This was built in the 80s when land was a hell of a lot cheaper. So let's have a look here. If we have a look at the mailboxes, we can see there's 9 units. So you have 9 units on a massive block. And this block itself here, you've got visitor car parking, and you've got some greenery and space. This is a really old-fashioned way of building an apartment block. This is not what they do now. So here you have a massive plot of land, and you have 9 apartments. It's a very different formula to how they build a new apartment block. Now, if we take a look next door, this is a nice new modern block, but it's on half the size of the land. That's correct, it's half the size. So that means if there's 9 unit holders here, well, guess what? Guess what? Each unit holder's land entitlement component would be a hell of a lot smaller. So let's take a look and see how many units are actually on this block. Now, this is actually quite a nice build. It's a very, very classy build, and it's been done quite well. In Queensland, the building code seems to be a lot tighter than in other states. So here we go. There are 7 apartments. However, how much visitor car parking do we have here? We've got 2. And if we have a look inside here, they're not individual car parks. Well, they're individual car parks, but they aren't actually segregated and fully closed off. In fact, they're open to the elements. So I got to be completely honest with you. It's a nice build. It's a very nice build, but a lot less land, a lot less public a lot less space for the land for the unit holders, and you've also got a situation where the car parks that are there are not closed off. If we have a look at the apartment block next door, they have fully enclosed individual parking. So you can see you've got the added benefit of using that as parking and as storage. So that's a really cool thing about the older builds. If we have a look, just walking back to the older apartment block, you can see here that the actual lockup itself, the garages themselves here, are individualized. So you don't really have to use it as a garage. You could use it as a storage unit if you didn't want to use it for your car. So that's one big benefit of having one of these older builds. Now, the land, I would say, between the 2 buildings here, it looks like the older build is on double the size. Some would say they've used the land inefficiently, but the thing is, there's a hell of a lot more land than on the brand new building next door. The interesting thing is here as well, is that this particular building here, it's very nice, some greenery, some nice trees, very, very leafy. It really is pretty damn nice. So That's one of the benefits of this building here.
Oh. Hey Archie Luxury fans, if you're into luxury, then you gotta be into 66 Buick Rivieras. Check out my son and I, Alex, as we restore this beautiful 66 Buick.
Neighbors are having a picnic, you know, having fun and stuff. Me, I'm doing cars. It's what I've done my whole life.
If we take a look at some of the recent builds across the street here, we can see this really nice modern build that's taken place. It's very nice. However, nowhere near the land of an old build. And a lot of the value in these units is actually the land it's on. Because this is a inner city area, land is expensive. So for your investment dollar, you'd ideally want to have as much land as possible. Have a look at this brand new build here, and I gotta be honest with you, I don't really think it's the greatest build quality. Let's have a look. It's nice. It's got a nice high block. I think it's the, it's very cool, very trendy looking, but the materials are just a bit of rendering and some tin and a bit of chamfer board. It's, there's 3 units here. 1, 2, 3. 3 units on not that big a block. So it's, it really comes back down to how much land do you get in the equation. And whilst it's not bad, some of the older units are going to give you a hell of a lot more land entitlement. So it's that's something worth considering. Yes, this is how it goes. There's many people love a new apartment block. I get it, new colors, trendy. It's kind of happening. But if you prepared to not be a look at me sort of person, you could get a lot better value in an older established block. And that's really the big bonus. The big bonus is the quality of the build and the size of the land. If you have a look at how much land you get on the older builds, it's significantly more. And this is an important thing. It's very important. I got to tell you the truth there. You want to buy an investment unit, this is for your future. You want to get the maximum dollar. You don't want to pay top whack. You want to get something that is top dollar for your investing needs. And these older builds, there's many advantages here. These older builds, they're bigger land allocation. They were built at a time when corners weren't cut as bad as they've been cut in recent years. And any corners that were cut or faults that were built in have reared their ugly head and often been rectified. They've been rectified. So buying an older unit has many positive advantages. It's an interesting equation. Many people go for the trendy new option instead of really thinking about it and buying better value. David SW, David SW, David SW. Who does ArchieLuxury recommend is the greatest grey market dealer in America? There's only one choice, David SW. That's right, guys. I've got to tell you the honest truth. I have for a long time been looking for the perfect answer. Who do I recommend people go to see? Who do I recommend that people can go and buy watches? And I've got to be honest with you. The greatest pre-owned dealer for Rolex, Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet is David SW. David SW. David SW. DavidSW.com. That's right, guys. I have been looking for a contact who I can very nicely refer people to. I am not in the selling business. Customer service, I'm too old to sell watches. I'm too old. I like to recommend my viewers to a reliable source. In Australia, I've got some great sources. There's Sydney Watch Exchange with Cove, Ronnie at Vintage Watch Co, Shani at European Watch Gallery. And in America, who is the best source for pre-owned Rolex? For all the hot models? There's only one person I would recommend, David SW. David SW, David SW. That is the premier source for pre-owned Rolex. I gotta be completely frank and honest with you. Guys, if you are looking for a hot Rolex model, there is only one place you can go to. David SW. David SW, David SW. Let's be honest, guys. There's no point schmoozing the dealers, the ADs. They're just a waste of time. Unless you're going to buy 20 pieces, you are wasting your time. What you're better off to do is pay the market premium and go to a good pre-owned dealer. Who do I recommend? David SW. David SW. David SW. That's correct, guys. I want to tell you this now. I 100% stand behind David SW. David SW, the greatest pre-owned dealer in the entire United States of America. That's right, the greatest pre-owned dealer for Rolex, for Patek Philippe, for Audemars Piguet, David SW. He even does things like FP Journe. David SW, David SW, David SW. That's right. If you want to buy a pre-owned Rolex, a Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, there's only one good source I would recommend. David SW, David SW, David SW. I'm Paul Pluter, the method actor who plays Archibald Chesterfield III, and I'm proud to recommend David SW. See you later. Thank you for watching this channel. The position. That's the important thing when buying an apartment in a capital city. You really want to be as close to the CBD as possible. And the best of both worlds is this inner city suburb here of Taringa, which borders on St. Lucia, borders on Indooroopilly, borders on Auchenflower and Toowong. This suburb here really represents the best of both worlds. Leafy streets, but only 5 kilometres to the CBD. Leafy, we've got nice gardens, nice trees, established parklands, close to all amenities, and it's very, very close to the CBD. This is really blue chip investment grade buying, and it's available now in an established suburb like Taringa. Blue chip, these are upper middle class people. These are people who work for a job. These are people who are achievers, people who usually have tertiary qualifications. They like the nicer things in life. These are what you would call winners. Winners, as opposed to unemployed, unemployable losers. Real estate is loser-winner, and this suburb here of Taringa is for winners. We don't really like to talk about social class when it comes to suburbs, but upmarket inner city suburbs, they have a nice cachet to them. The people seem to be smarter. They drive nicer cars. Their social habits tend to be a lot more in accordance with middle class respectability. And of course, the big thing is that they are less involved in unemployment, the drug culture, stealing, the nasty things, less involved in the nasty things of life. So it is very, very interesting, and it's an interesting thing to consider there. You really want to be with winners in real estate. It's better not to be next to unemployed, unemployable losers. And I mean, this is a horrible thing to say, but hey, if you're buying an investment apartment, you're best to be in a suburb where people mainly have jobs. They drive nicer cars. They are respectable, working, middle-class people. It's when people have idle time that they get up to mischief and nasty sort of hobbies like building a meth lab. Just really nasty, vicious sort of things. And these ritzy inner city suburbs, you have the best of both worlds. The best of both worlds. One thing about the suburb of Taringa is you just want to make sure you do get a higher up apartment. The St. Lucia area backs onto the Brisbane River, and you have to be a bit careful because these can be flood prone. You're always better off to buy an apartment block in a higher area, physically higher. If you look at some of the problems with many of the new buildings, new apartment blocks featured on the Four Corners program, you will see that the number one cause of problems is water. That's correct. So to give yourself the best advantage, if you were in a higher location, the water would flow away from you. It's when you're in a lower area where water problems can be a bigger problem to solve. The best thing any investor or person buying a inner city apartment, townhouse, the best thing you can do is to buy a property which is higher, because the water problems, the water flows away from you, doesn't come into you. And this is a very basic thing. It's so simple. Buying a higher placed property is going to give you a lot less hassle. And this is something, it doesn't matter whether you're buying a unit or a house or any property. The higher the property, the less likelihood of having water problems. Expensive, nasty water problems. Here's a classic building here that was built in the 80s. Have a look at this. Nice big common areas, big beautiful balconies. Okay, the building may not be the most trendy building on the street, but it's a quality build. They've even bothered to build a big brick area for your mail. If you have a look at the structure here for the parking, you've got individual units, individual lock-up units for everybody to enjoy. This particular building here is part of the Masters series, and this was a design used by some builders in the early 80s and late 80s to complete apartments. Many buildings from this area here have many similar traits. Big balconies, individualized lock-up garage, and the beautiful thing about this is they were damn well built, very well built. It's the proverbial brick shithouse that could withstand a nuclear explosion. And there's many gems like this around. Look at this this here. We've got a beautiful area here where we even have common area, just space to live and breathe here. This block here very easily could be toned up a bit, a little bit of new fence, bit of paint, and you could really change the whole aesthetic of this building. Later townhouses and apartments, a lot smaller and more meager in their use of available space. Here we have four units on a smaller block, and I don't know about you, but space is really cool to have. More space we have is more happiness. More happiness allows us to make more money and move into better socioeconomic areas. Hi guys, it's Paul Pluter, and today guys I would like to talk about a new sponsor which I'm very proud to have on board. This is the Fur Boutique of Germany. That's correct. And you know, before you start getting really crazy with the animal libbers and all these crazy left-wing communists out there, I want to say to you, furs have been used by man for hundreds of years for warmth and to show luxury and superiority. And I'm very proud to hook up with Fur Boutique of Germany. That's correct. These people here know quality fur. In fact, I'm going to be ordering a fur coat very, very soon for one of my lady friends. That's correct. Yes, that's correct. So this is fur. I got to be honest with you. This is recycling at its greatest. This is it's a fur. They're selling quality furs in Germany. These are on the pre-owned market. This is like the watches, the Rolex watches. I'm saying buy pre-owned. No different with luxury fur. Luxury fur. I highly recommend it. This company here, they ship, Fur Boutique Germany, they ship via DHL Premium. They are quality sellers. They have over 500 fur coats in stock. Large quantities, good quality. This is a chance to live the dream. Come on, guys. We know in the 70s, you know, all these animal libbers and fuckers, they all went nuts. But these fucking little rodents, you befriend these rodents, they bite you. They bite you. So wouldn't it be nice to make these little fuckers into a fur coat? So I got to be honest with you. I totally support fur. I totally support fur. I totally support it. And if you raise the furs in a humane, raise these animals in a humane environment, and then you turn them into coats, well, who am I to say anything wrong with that? We eat meat, we eat cow, don't we? We eat cow. I'm a meat eater. I'm not a lesbian, left-wing vegetarian. No, I need my proteins. I'm very proud to be associated with Fur Boutique Germany, and I stand behind their full range of stock. Thank you. Click on the link down below to visit their store. Quality buildings don't have to just be from the 80s. Here's a building block which was built in the 90s. And you can see here it's been lovingly taken care of. The building itself also has a lot of car parking in the back. Great big block, and you can see from this building, it's a quality build. It's a solid build, quality build, nice use of gardening, open space, and you can see this is quite a good build. Again, the number of unit holders here is less than in some of the newer builds. This here is a 10 unit complex on a fairly big block of land. Very cool indeed. Good investment buying. There's nothing terribly wrong with the new builds. The problem is you're going to be paying a massive premium for trendy, cool builds, and the land allocation is going to be a lot smaller. Take a look at this luxury development in Taringa. This is a newer build, and I must say it's quality. This is not a cheap complex at all. It's quality. You've got nice secure parking. It's also got some beautiful landscaping. You can see from this building here, it was expensive. However, you have a lot more unit holders than you do in the older builds. This particular address here has a lot more units on the same block of land. So this is what happens. You have more people in the same space. Here we have 18 units. This block of land here is actually smaller than a unit block with 9 units. The land itself is smaller, and they've got double the amount of units on it. It's still a very nice build. It's a quality build, but I'd rather have double the amount of land per unit holder allocation. It's up to you what you do. Some people, if you want to buy new and trendy, there's a massive premium. Here's another example here. This block here has got 8 units on it. Fairly small block, not much common space. It seems to be a quality build as well. Nice. It's a nice unit block. It's very nice. However, it's fairly tight. The use of land is fairly tight, and this is the problem with the newer builds. It's interesting having a look around a leafy suburb like Taringa. You see many different types of units, and one thing that can be said is time reveals many faults. So the older units, they've kind of spoken for themselves, because building faults, they certainly know how to make themselves seen. So quality builds are very important. And just because it's not in the trendiest colours at the moment, that really shouldn't be your main instigator for buying a newer unit.